Alright, hello. Here we are in City of Threats. Early on into the expansion, I made a boss overview, kind of like a how to heal each boss guide. But now we're going to do a full dungeon walkthrough of this, so I'll just kind of talk about the pulls as we do them, and talk about the important mobs. Rogue can do this. So these little things right here, they give you a buff if you have either a rogue, priest, or someone with 25 engineering. Click on them, and then it gives everybody I believe it's a 15% damage and healing increase. Now going into this first pull that a lot of people do, the main thing is just the silk binders. They're gonna do two separate casts. They're gonna do web bolts and then some kind of silk binding cast. Both of them just do heavy damage to whoever they target and just targets random players. And the venom blades just put a poison debuff on the tank that you want to dispel. And then lastly, the Swarm Guard that usually gets pulled in with them, he will do these frontals that you want to watch out for, and the range is also a lot farther than it looks, so don't be in it at all. And then he'll apply this AoE dot right here, this Ravenous Swarm. It just puts a 6-second dot on everyone in the party, and it just does a hefty amount of damage. So this is what you'll usually want to use like healing cooldowns for stuff, is the Ravenous Swarm. Looks like we're going to do another one here. Just watching for those Ravenous Swarms. And there's a Silk Binder that we can help kick. So for this first swarm, maybe I'll use like my Conduit. I don't remember even what this ability is called. I like just started playing my Mistweaver more, rather than just like kind of gearing it on the side, so still learning some of the new abilities and stuff. I can't remember what it's called. What is it? It is... Oh, he walked into the mob that has true sight. Oh, this is such a mess. The life cocoon him. What we're gonna get. So, we have the Silk Binder still, and then the new mob is this Herald of Ansarek. He's gonna do just a spam cast on random players. It's gonna do a really large amount of damage, and then drop a pool under their feet if the cast goes off, so you want to make sure you're kicking that. And then the other ability he does is this right here, which is the boss mechanic later, but he'll apply it to a random player. It's called Shadows of Doubt, I believe. And they'll take ticking damage while they have the debuff, and then once they're either dispelled or the debuff times out, it'll shoot these orbs in kind of like a hexagon pattern around them. So it'll shoot out 5 different ways. You have the debuff, ideally you want to be dispelling it, but in a pug group sometimes it's hard. Like I would recommend basically not dispelling melee DPS and then dispelling range. And then only dispel melee if they walk out of the group. Like right here the rogue has it, so I'm just going to let him, because he's sitting in the group with it, so if I dispel it, then it's going to go off and hit everybody. And like there, he died with it. I don't really have anything to use on him unfortunately as a Mistweaver, so it might be something that I have to dispel. Problem is if these orbs hit people, like right there, an orb just hit the DK, people die. So you have to kind of make a hard decision of whether you think you can keep that player alive or whether they need to be dispelled. Like see there, the elemental shaman's like way out in range, so it's usually fine to dispel. Like it's pretty hard for people to get hit by that. Obviously, as you saw, it will happen. Like see here, I get the debuff, so I'm gonna walk out and then dispel myself. And it looks like I kind of baited the shaman a little bit, I guess. That's a bit messy, but that's okay. I'm just watching out for the frontal. And we'll get one more swarm here. This one I'll just use Shaylin's Gifts. He should die before the next one, so we won't have to worry about like getting everyone full HP right this second. Kind of do it passively. Alright, and then this boss, he'll have a little circle around him, and you have to stay inside of it, otherwise he yanks you in and does extra damage to you. Main things he's going to do is he's going to do Subjugate, which is a big tank hit, so make sure the tank's full HP for that. Then he does the Frontals, which is Terrorize. He puts the Shadows of Doubt on 2 players. There we only got 1 because the DK pressed AMS and it targeted him, so just immune the debuff. There's the Subjugate again. And after doing kind of combos of these spells, he'll do this right here and drop a pool on the floor, and then we kind of all need to move as a cluster to get out of the pool on the floor while staying inside the boss's circle. There's the Terrorize with the Frontal. Then he's going to put out Shadows of Doubt, which is the 2 debuffs, and ideally you want to dispel one of them right away, so I just dispel myself since I'm in range.
5, 4.
Then we just avoid the next one, so now we're just watching where the rogue is. There's the Subjugate on the tank. And now he's doing this Indoctrination cast, and then we move. Just have my bigwig set up to say drop every time he drops the debuff on the ground, that way I just remember mentally to move. But one thing that really helps is after doing all this stuff, so like we have Shadows of Doubt going up, I'm going to stay away from the group so I can dispel myself if I get it. There we go, we dispel. Then we heal the other player with it. Now we're dodging. Subjugate, and now what we do is we get in front of the boss, so wherever the tank is, we get in front, and then that way when this debuff drops on the ground, it's a lot easier to move, because if you're behind the boss, that's when you're going to get stuck, or you're going to have to run over the stuff on the floor, which will pretty much instant kill you. It'll always do near lethal damage the moment you step into it. We're getting Shadows of Doubt, so I'm staying at the edge just in case I get it. I'm going to dispel the Shaman.
4, 3.
And there we go. It's just kind of rotating between tank hit, dispel debuffs, which usually kind of overlap with the Frontal, and then a tank hit, and then stack in front of the boss and move for the drop on the floor. Now here we're just watching our feet from this little mini-boss, and then these eyes of the queen, we're going to fight a few of these. And the main thing they do is Void Rush, and it just targets like usually 3 to 4 players with a dot debuff. And you're just going to want to keep them topped up, and that's also where you'll want to rotate healing cooldowns. So like here, there's another Void Rush that's going off, so I'm going to pop Chi-Ji. And then we'll just keep doing healing. Ideally with the Eyes of the Queen, you want to just rotate healing cooldowns for each of their Void Rushes, because they do hurt quite a bit. The only other ability that they do is this Frontal right here, which they just disappear and teleport behind a nearby player, usually a range, and then do a Frontal kind of behind them, so they'll like spawn behind your back, so you can kind of bait them out a little bit to make them not like jump across the map. Now we just have to find the other spies. The best route is doing like this right here in case you get this one. And then I guess the only other thing I'll mention about this one, since we're not gonna I'm not gonna sit here and re-explain the queen again, is for this when you're, because they're in different spots each time you do the dungeon. So they can either be here. If it's not here, you'll either see these little images right here. This kind of leads you to the next one. You'll either see them going behind the building this way, like where my mouse is, you'll see them leading that way, or they're leading this way towards the building. So what you do is if they're actually, it's kind of weird how this works, but if they are leading you behind the building, you actually want to go the other way over here, and it means that the mob is inside the building. And then if they're going towards the building, as if it's inside the building, they're actually behind the building. It just misleads you a little bit. So. And we usually run... Oh, I ran this way because I'm just not used to getting that first spawn. But usually you run this way. And now you'll get another spawn. Either you don't want to walk that way quite yet. You want to walk straight like this shaman's doing, because you might get a spawn right here sometimes. And then here we don't get one, so now we're going to keep going this way. And then there we can see the little images, so now we usually just avoid this guy in the middle. And then just follow the images, and they'll either be down those stairs or really far down here.
Dot.
It's TG again for this one.
Dot.
We have revival for this one. Looks like only one person got targeted, so we're just not going to bother.
If this distressing trend continues, we will run out of spies.
Now, the last section is we run all the way back over here towards this section. And here I like to jump down right here because sometimes they like to spawn over here. Otherwise we run this way. Looks like it's over here. It'll usually be over here or in that building right there. Now for the first set of debuffs we can use Chi-Ji. Just use that now.
Embrace
Dot.
who you truly are.
Dot.
We revival this one.
Much better. Your target is the Grand Splicer, Izo. Her drive for innovation.
And now we get to go up to the boss room.
Thirst for ascension. Stay close.
This boss is definitely one of the more tricky bosses, but once you understand where you should be using your defensives and healing cooldowns, it makes the fight significantly easier.
The Transformatory was once the home.
Okay, so this boss does a few different things. Basically, there's two different bosses, and they take turns of like which boss is active and which boss is passive. The active boss has a special ability that they'll cast in the phase, and then they'll switch the active boss to the other one. So they kind of take turns using their special abilities. Also, whichever boss is active is the one that can move, and the inactive one will just stand still and spam like a range ability on people. If you're tanking, you want to bring the active one to an active one. And here what we're doing is we're just healing up these debuffs from these knife throws. It's just like a small short bleed, don't want to use too much for it. And then what we're actually going to use defensives and cooldowns for is this Dustbringer cast right here that's about to go out. I'm going to start using stuff, we're going to get out of all the purple stuff, we're going to pop a defensive, and we're just using our healing cooldown to get through this. Spell these debuffs. Now, if you're able to, you can face these frontals into the wall. They won't actually dash on the wall, but they're like on the wall, so we couldn't really face them the other direction. So now that whenever they teleport, that's when they switch who's active. So now Nyx is active, or sorry, Vix is active. And she's going to cast Rime Dagger on the tank. You want to be stacked up for this. And then the tank just needs to use a defensive for this. And you just do a small amount of AoE healing. You shouldn't really use too many big AoE heals. What you use AoE heals for is these Dustbringer casts. So right here we use AoE healing. And use an external on somebody. Should be able to get through the rest. And basically after every Dustbringer, they'll do the frontals, and then that's when they switch back to who's active and who's passive. Go. If we face them into the wall like this, they won't actually move. It's going to be really nice. Also, these purple circles on the floor, they don't actually do anything. You can stand in them. That's where the Dustbringer circles will spawn. Just healing knife throws. And we're getting ready for this Dustbringer cast, which we'll use our Chi-Ji and our revival for it. So this phase in particular, oh, that's a really, really bad frontal. Oh my gosh. Okay, we Chi-Ji. We're doing some healing. And now we get icicles, so we want to press a defensive, so I'll health pot, and then we'll revival to get the debuff off. It's like a magic dispel debuff. We're trying to bait them into the wall if possible. Maybe this one? Nope. And then now we go back to the Rhyme Dagger phase. Crush our hots.
Embrace who you
Now we're gonna have Dustbringer again. This one we have Gift to Shaylun to use. I'll walk out. I'm gonna Shayluns. Looks like everybody went to a different side, so I didn't get to really hit them very much with it, but that's okay. Definitely the most dangerous part of this fight is the Dustbringer into Icicles, not the Dustbringer into Rhyme Dagger. That one's much easier to heal. We have another Icicles phase. I use my Chi-Ji now just to kind of help and get it on cooldown, and then help with just the random kind of damage that's happening throughout this. Because we're probably not going to get all the way to the Icicles. The boss is going to die before then. If for whatever reason we do, then we have Shaylun's Gift up again, and our other stuff. Yeah, like right here we might get a little bit of a Dustbringer, so I'll just cast Shaylun's real quick before I zone away. And then we're good. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Celestial Conduit, that's the name of the thing.
Our strands are strong. None will pass.
I reload here because for some reason with Cell, the second boss likes to break my frames. It's like the only boss in the game that does it. If I reload, it fixes it. Just hopefully the whole group's not dead. Oh yeah, I knew they were gonna personally do that really big pull. I can res. Oh, don't run it back, buddy.
Open your mind to the whispers. Embrace who you truly are.
Okay, there we go. Now we're in combat with this, of course, so I can't res. Okay, usually in Pugs I just don't reload right there because of that exact thing. Like, people usually do a big pull on this first one, so I just don't have enough time to reload. But it definitely, for this video in particular, I just don't want the debuff sitting there on the frames the entire time because it'll just be harder to explain stuff as it's happening. We should still be more than fine. Alright, these mobs, we have most of them just apply. I actually don't know which ones in particular apply them. I think it's the Marauders. They apply like a stacking dot or damage taken increase to the tank. And you can't really do anything about it, so you just want to be aware that the longer this pull lasts, the more damage your tank is going to be taking. Usually if you have externals and stuff, you want to try to hold off just a little bit until maybe some of their initial like roll-off stuff is falling off. And here we have the Webmancers. They just need to be kicked. They do like a heal cast, and then they do an individual just random target cast on people. Get this Webmancer's Mend.
Open your mind to the whispers. Embrace who you truly are.
And then now this big guy here, he's going to put a bunch of swirlies on the floor and then apply a poison debuff to everyone in the group. So we just want to dispel one person immediately. I'll also use revival for it, so I'll use that for the next one. And then other than that, you're just avoiding the swirlies and healing the players who did not get dispelled, because it does hurt very bad if you can't dispel them. And we'll revival this next one, in case the shaman did not recall his totem. So now we just revival. Oh no, he released.
Overcrawlers. I've enough of you in my collection.
And then these mobs, the assistants don't really do anything. And then this test subject, he'll apply all these little purple swirlies all over the floor. They're actually lethal, so if you're a caster, it's fine to just stand in them if you press the defensive. And then this fierce stomping is what you'll usually use like a healing cooldown for or something. It's not that deadly. Like right there, I just healed it with nothing. But if you're going to press cooldowns during this hallway, it's definitely during that, during the stomp. And then we have these, what are these, unnaturalers?
AoE.
Am I dyslexic? Is it all? No. No, it's unnaturaler. Okay. These little guys, they just cast this Void Wake or Void Wrath or something like that. Void Wave. And that just needs to be kicked. If it's not kicked, it'll knock everybody back pretty far and then put a really, really nasty dot on them. So it's super, super deadly if these aren't getting kicked, but otherwise they do absolutely nothing. Like, as long as you can keep them kicked, you are absolutely chilling. I try to do is track everybody's kicks here and just kind of see when they use their kick, and then when they don't have, like right here we have a lot of kicks up, so I'm not going to worry about these going off, and then if they get that close, then I'll use something. I try to save my crowd control for when we don't have any kicks and the caster going off. That's when I'll do like a leg sweep or a ring of peace and stuff like that.
Failure breeds success eventually. Wouldn't you agree? Let's see which of the two you are.
Alrighty, next up is the coagulation. He's gonna do a big tank hit, the oozing smash.
4, 3,
And he's going to do Vicious Darkness. This is going to be like a AoE, unavoidable AoE to the entire group. It's really not that dangerous, so you shouldn't need to press anything for it unless you're not full HP. And then he's going to spawn these orbs that come around the room towards him. We'll need to soak them, and then they'll get a healing absorb on themselves. It's going to be healing the healing absorbs on players, and then helping soak an orb. And basically you just don't want to soak too many of them, because if you soak too many of them, that's where it becomes like kind of unrecoverable. So you want to soak like 1 or 2 each, or you can use things like AMS, Cloak, Bubble, all that kind of stuff to kind of run through a bunch of them and soak them at the same time. Then what we're actually paying attention to is this right here, this Dark Pulse. So I'm pressing my Fortify Brew, and then I'm going to use a healing cooldown. As you can see there, even with all that stuff being rolled, it still hurts real bad. There I used Life Cocoon way too late, it was completely useless. I need to use that before I channeled. But that's the general idea. Try not to use too much stuff. Use like smaller cooldowns and whatnot for like these orbs and healing these. So like here I'm just using Chi-Ji since it's a 1 minute cooldown. Oh yeah, and if any of the orbs touch the boss, it heals him for like 8% of his health or something. I don't know if it scales with key level or not. We're using smaller healing cooldowns for this stuff. So like here I can even use Shaylin's Gift just to kind of top us back up. And for the Dark Pulses, we're using big stuff like Revival and
5,
Conduit
4,
and all that kind of stuff.
3, 2, 1.
Here we're getting another knockback. And now we have Dark Pulse coming up with the orbs coming in. I don't have any defensives for myself, so I'm going to health pot, and then we're going to use Revival during it. We're going to Mana Tea right here. And we will Revival. Focus on healing the Shaman and the Rogue, because I can health pot, so there I just health potted.
5.
Only messed that up a little bit because I was standing in the stuff on the ground, so it made me have to move. just going back to regular healing. And it's just kind of a rinse and repeat of this. So you just want to not overuse stuff in the build-up until Dark Pulse, and then for Dark Pulse is where you really want to make sure you're sending everything. Sense of yourself or have something for yourself, and then focus on healing other players, because especially in a pug, people will die to the Dark Pulse. You have to definitely brute force heal it a lot of the time. And here the boss is going to die, so we can just use our other cooldown. Just keep the group topped up.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Embrace who you truly.
The pursuit of perfection can be messy, but worthwhile in the end.
Now we're just back to one of these pulls.
AoE.
It's even, you can even see here, like, I'm just getting hit by some of those swirlies sometimes. They're really not that, like, big of a deal. Only if you're going to stand in them, like, constantly and not use anything on yourself, that's where it will be noticeable. But otherwise, if you're playing a caster that can't move around too much, it's definitely not that bad to just kind of stand in a few of them. And then these guys are going to give us a little sneak preview of the boss abilities a little bit. So this first one just does an interruptible cast. We want to make sure we're kicking it every time.
Stack.
Then he'll do Umbral Weave, which is a boss ability. We all be stacked up, and then it spawns these little roots on ourselves that we need to kill. And then once we kill the root, we break out of it. You can also use like movement freeing effects and stuff like that. It's important to kill the roots fast either way. There will be things during the boss fight where you're required to move. So if you're stuck in a root, you cannot do that. In this mob, though, there's literally nothing happening. So you could sit in these roots all day if you technically wanted to. Okay, then our next friend here is actually one of the more dangerous pulls in this entire dungeon. He's going to do the Ravenous Swarm from the beginning of the dungeon, but now he's going to also have a new ability called Tremor Slam, where once it goes, it's going to go right here. He's going to spawn this big circle, and then he's going to slam the ground and do a heavy amount of damage, unavoidable damage to everyone in the group.
Dot.
And then now he's going to swarm again, but it's like desynced a little bit to where you usually just deal with one mechanic at a time, which is fine. But eventually there is two of them where they kind of overlap. So like this next one, he's going to do the slam and then almost immediately go into a swarm. So like right here, he's slamming. And then now he's going to swarm immediately rather than kind of give us that little break. And then the next one, if you get to that point in hierarchies, he will do the swarm and then the slam right after. So now you have the swarm dot on yourself, but you also have the slam going out. So that's where you want to save like really major healing cooldowns and stuff for those like two overlaps towards the end. Where you get the slam and then the swarm right after, you want to use something for that. And then you want to use defensives or kind of bigger healing cooldowns for the swarm directly into the slam. Now we have the boss. So she spawns these little orbs. You're going to avoid them. She's going to put Slice on people. We just heal through this. Then we dodge the orbs. She'll randomize which ability she does. So she's going to do the slam first. It is random, so you don't know which one she's going to do first. But now it is a pattern, like for the next one. So now she's going to move the orbs. We're going to dodge them. Just spawn on random players. Now she's going to do the Splice and then the root ability. So the Splice. Now we're dodging orbs. And then now we're stacking up for the roots that go on us. That hurt really bad. That is okay. And then we're dodging, and now from this point, since you kind of know the abilities, I'm going to talk as if I'm kind of like running this fight, like when I do it with guildies and stuff. We have Tank Buster. This happens every 1 minute, and then she'll restart the cycle, so we're healing the tank. Now she's going to put the orbs back in place. Okay, we have Splice.
5,
into random ability,
2, 1.
moving to dodge the orbs. It's the slam again, so we're going to use a healing cooldown. So the slams overlapping with the splices, that's when you're using healing CDs or defensives. The slams are a lot more deadly. Here we're dodging orbs. They're kind of flying across the room because there's someone kind of cheating ahead of us.
5,
Now we're going to get splice into the root.
2, 1.
And then we're dodging, and then we're getting the root. So I'm going to use Shaylin's Gift here. I messed up my cast. I accidentally targeted the Shaman and then switched to the Rogue, and then it was too late. So that's definitely my fault. We're dodging. Now we're getting another tank ability. Healing the tank. Now we're getting new orbs that spawn. I get spliced into a random ability, so I'm going to press a healing cooldown here, a small one.
4, 3, 2.
Dodging orbs. Getting the slam again. It's been consistent every time now. And that is it. Oh no, we missed a guy. By the way, that's the whole dungeon. So yeah, with that boss, it's basically just... hopefully I don't get this order wrong now that I'm not doing the fight, but it's basically... splice... to dodge orbs... into random ability... into dodge orbs... into splice... into dodge orbs... and then the other ability that she didn't use, and then tank buster, and then she resets it. So the main thing is dodging the orbs, so keeping an eye on when you need to dodge them, because you will get cleaved by those and die. And then healing through the splices that are before slams. The ones before the root is also important, but not as dangerous as the slam. The slam is what will kill your group. The roots will usually just kill your group if like you're not doing enough kind of passive upkeep healing and stuff. Don't hesitate to use healing cooldowns for both, but you definitely want to use stuff for the every slam. Like if you don't have something for the slam, you're going to die. If you don't have something for the root, you can definitely still live it. Yeah, that's City of Threads. So thank you for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.